Hello once again YouTube, I'm Ephraim225 and welcome to the beginning of my playthrough of Yu-Gi-Oh! The Sacred Cards for the GBA. Yes, Fire Emblem had Sacred Stones, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has Sacred Cards. Makes sense to me, I guess. So the Sacred Cards is actually an interesting game historically. This is the first game where they actually try to adapt the events of the manga/anime into an RPG. So that was pretty interesting at the time. There's a lot of high quality artwork. And I think they released this game before the season of the anime they adapted was actually finished, so that's also interesting. As you can see, the character artwork is pretty high quality, and these backgrounds are going to look really nice as well. And even some of the cards use uncensored card artwork, at least in the American version. This is the European version, so I think some of the cards got recensored, but that's okay. We'll see if any of the good ones were left unchanged. Now, what's also interesting about Sacred Cards is that it uses an older rule set. So this is not the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Video game, of course. They had a number of them on the Game Boy Color. They just didn't release most of them outside of Japan. And those games used an older rule set before the trading card game was actually created. And even though they had two adaptations of the trading card game for the GBA already, Sacred Cards still chose to go back to that old rule set. And the reason I think they did that is because this rule set, even though it has some really weird things to it, like elemental rock, paper, scissors, it's much faster paced in my opinion, and actually works as a video game more so than the TCG does. Because with the TCG you have all those phases, you have all those rules regarding chains and stuff. So by going back to the old rule set, they made a much faster paced game. And so Sacred Cards is actually a pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, but also not that good because unfortunately there's no multiplayer, which is really strange, but you know, I guess they just decided not to have it in Sacred Cards for whatever reason. And another thing is that Sacred Cards originally, it just had no difficulty to it. The opponents did not put up any kind of fight. They all had terrible decks and the player was given too many powerful spell and trap cards too quickly. And you know, that's even considering that they actually put a lot of arbitrary limitations on what kind of monster cards you were allowed to use. You just could not use any of the strongest monster cards unless you grind quite a lot. So, Sacred Cards was, yeah, it was okay-ish, but not really that good. But that's where the famed Advance Wars hacker Kartal comes into play. I am playing his Sacred Cards patch. I playtested it and I was pretty pleased with the results. It allows the player to get a bunch of good cards much quicker, and it changes the opponent so that they actually put up a fight in a balanced manner. So after these opening scenes finish, we will see some of the changes that he has made to the original game. And I will play through the entire game using his patch. This should be the version that is available online right now. So the first thing you have to do is, he didn't change any of the plot, so Sacred Cards is not really a long game, even with the rebalance, so it's probably going to be a quick playthrough, but I do think the experience is much better with the patch, so that's what I'm doing. So the first thing you have to do is you have to actually challenge all of these opponents before the tournament has actually started. You can challenge somebody by pressing the R button to talk to them instead of the A button. So I don't know why they make you challenge all these guys when it's not time yet, but you have to do this to advance the plot, so whatever. Just one more person. Now you should recognize a lot of these faces if you watched the show or read the manga. We'll be facing all of them in duels. That comes later, however. And then once you've talked to everybody, just go to this screen and attempt to move south. I really don't know why they make you do that. Probably to simulate the passage of time, but whatever. They're just gonna walk through all these NPCs. NPCs have some weird hit detection, and sometimes they also draw the sprites in the incorrect order. Yeah, you might catch that when I'm walking past one of them. But whatever. So I'm just gonna get right into a duel without editing my deck first, which is probably not a good idea. This NPC right here, you actually have to beat him to advance the plot, and he's kind of hiding right now. Weird. But yes, beating him sets a flag. So before every duel, you have to wager one of your cards. Gambling is good for you, children. Let's just wager the old Karibo, because nobody minds if I lose that. Alright, so this opponent comes out swinging with some spell cards already. Alright, let's see what we can do here. I'm gonna let him come to me first, so I'm gonna put a monster in defense mode. So the way this game's elemental rock, paper... Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That let him tribute a monster. This is pretty bad already. I shouldn't have done that. Well, I'm gonna get rid of this. Well, I'm already at a bit of a disadvantage here. I'm probably gonna lose the first duel again. I tried recording this earlier, and I lost the first duel. Oh, hey, a spell card. Okay, I'll just get rid of all of his monsters with this. And I hope that's not a trap card. It was. You activated my trap card, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Classic, but with his strongest monster out of the way, I should be able to at least fight back. So, the way elemental rock, paper, scissors works is that if you have an elemental disadvantage, you just instantly lose your monster, even if the opponent was in defense mode, which is really not that good in my opinion. I would have preferred just having like a flat plus 1000 or something, but at least it lets you hit over enemy monsters. I'm going to use this monster. It has a special ability that lets you destroy one enemy monster along with itself. And I can confirm that this is not a trap card at least, or at least not one that'll hit me. Alright, so he's taking a peek at my hand. That's not going to do much. I think I got past all of his strongest cards, so I should be able to defeat him very easily. Just have to whittle down his health. Okay. So I was a little afraid I would lose that first duel because, you know, the opponents have been made stronger, of course. And maybe Kartal doesn't intend for me to fight this guy this early, because he does have a lot of direct damage cards. Oh, and another thing is, Kartal actually buffed the direct damage spell cards, because normally they don't do as much damage. And the reason for that, like, I know a lot about the history of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games, probably more than anybody should. So, like, I might go into detail on how crazy the old Game Boy games are, and he's completely out of cards now, so this is an auto win for me. But, like, I could spend a couple minutes just talking about direct damage spell cards and what the history behind them is. Ah, yes, so that's the first win, and we get a pretty decent card, actually. Kartal buffed this monster. So after beating him, he tells you a rumor about the card shop. Apparently, if someone goes in alone with a rare card, they never come out. Very spooky. I say we go check it out, because I actually need to go to the card shop and improve my deck a little bit. The starter deck, even with the changes Kartal made to it, they're not, like, really... It's not a strong deck. So you might recognize this character, but we are not going to duel him right away, because he's really, really strong. And it's actually pretty early to be facing him, but the game lets you trigger his appearance very quickly. So I'm going to go into the card shop. I'm probably not going to, like, show you all of the buying and selling that I do. But every time you beat somebody, a bunch of random cards get added to the shop. And, oh, this is actually a good one. A really cheap one, too. Oh, and this is actually a really good one, too. Yeah, you start with a couple. I'm gonna get those right away. And, we don't have a lot of money at this point, but it's good to pick up a couple of extra cards. So, I'm gonna edit my deck, and then I will be, right back with, the next duel. Alright, I've given my deck an overhaul, so I'm gonna show that off right now. So the way deck building in this game works is that each card in the game has an arbitrary point cost, and the total point cost of your deck cannot exceed your deck capacity. And deck capacity goes up every time you win a duel. So that's how they achieve the RPG element of this game. And it would have worked really well, but they made a lot of powerful cards cost a lot and take up a lot of your deck capacity in the original game. So what Kartal did is that he overhauled the balance of the deck capacity. So a lot of cards cost a lot less, and some cards cost a lot more based on how strong they are. And it works out really nicely in my opinion. So I've explained that, now it's time to actually go and win some duels again. So if you head into this back alley, there are these three guys right here. You need to beat one of them in order to advance the plot. I choose the bald guy, of course. so let's see here. You can wager any card you want, by the way. It doesn't really matter what you wager so long as its point cost is above a certain value. Because if you wager a card that costs too low, the game will give you a not as good reward when you win. So, the opponents here like to use zombie monsters. And, let's see, most of these zombie monsters are of the Fiend attribute, and Fiend is weak to the Light attribute, which I have right here. And this particular Light monster has an effect that powers up all Light monsters, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. He powers up himself as well. 1,000 attack points, that's going to be a bit difficult for him to overcome, especially if, well, you could just do that. If you have a tie when two monsters attack each other, then they just both go down. And there's not really any point to that effect. That does so little damage. Alright, so we've beaten one of the 3 zombie opponents. What do I get? Oh, another copy of Eternal Rest. I already have 3 of them. The limit on the number of copies of each card you can have is 3. So, yeah, I think I'm good to go. Well, I might as well wager it against the first storyline opponent. This character is creatively named Bones because he fights in graveyards. Yeah, so the goal of the game is to win a card game tournament by collecting 5 locator cards, and you win them all from opponents from the anime/manga. So, this is our first duel for a locator card. I'm going to go ahead and bet the Eternal Rest that I just got. As long as I can find it. I should probably just organize all of my cards. Alright, here we go. Bones has a lot of strong monsters in this patch, but we'll see what we can do with him. I'm going to start with... let's go ahead and start with... I don't want to invest too much quite yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this to get myself a 1,000 point light monster, and then I'll see what he does with it. Okay, he's got a dark monster, that's not good. And he's got Monster Reborn, that's also not good. But his monsters aren't super powerful at the moment. I can get rid of them with this, for one thing. Oh, wait, is that... Okay, so this isn't a zombie monster. That's interesting. I wanted to get the dark monster out of the way, though, so now I'm going to use this. This might look a little weird because in the trading card game, Follow Wind only works on winged beast monsters. In this game, it works on anything that has wings, so that includes Hourglass of Life. And Hourglass of Life itself can let you spend 1,000 life points to give it a power-up, and as you can see, he's gone into defense mode, so none of those could beat Hourglass of Life at the moment. Yes, always swing with your weaker monsters first, by the way. That baits out any traps because he can't choose when to activate traps or not. So, the only problem is that card in the center has, well, there's that too. Okay, so here's a trick that I think everybody knows. So, this card right here, Orion the Battle King, it is a tribute monster. You have to sacrifice one of your own monsters in order to summon it. But, in this game, there's a thing you can do. So you can tribute your monster, which is a separate action from summoning for some reason, and then you can activate Dark Hole. I haven't summoned any monsters yet, so Dark Hole doesn't wipe out my monster along with the enemy. And then you can just drop your tribute monster and swing for a free hit. Now, if he has another dark monster, this is no good. Well, he has a Dark Hole, so he had one of his own. But still, that's a very important trick in this game. I'm just gonna get rid of his monster because I don't want to take the chance of him tributing something. You can view your opponent's hand. Well, he has nothing in his hand, so he's actually playing with absolutely nothing. So as long as I draw monsters and he doesn't, well, I haven't drawn any monsters yet. This is not looking good. I mean, oh, that's definitely not good. He got Great Mammoth of Goldfine, which is actually named after some employee at Konami or 4Kids, I think. I don't remember exactly, but it's really weird to name a zombie monster after one of your employees. I think he was a localizer. But anyways, I can give him his Eternal Rest. And now he doesn't have anything. Alright, I don't trust that face-down card, so I'm gonna get rid of it with Feather Duster. And I don't think he shouldn't have any strong monsters at this point. Like, if this were the original version of Sacred Cards without the Kartal patch, I would have run over this guy by now. But as you can see, it's a little bit more exciting this time. I ran right into my trap card, that's good. Oh look, another egg monster. A lot of eggs in my videos these days. Alright, so get rid of you. And I'm gonna leave the egg in defense mode, because it's got higher defense points. Ah, that actually worked. He was compelled to attack, even though he didn't know what kind of monster I had face down, and that means his very defensive earth monster is now in attack position, which is not very useful. But I had a wind monster, and wind beats earth, so I would have gotten rid of it either way. But hey, that's the first locator card down, and for beating him, you win one of the best monsters in the game. The Pumpkin, the King of Ghosts. It's such a goofy monster, and I actually really love this guy. But he's not very good, because instead of powering up all zombies, he only powers up 3 specific zombies in order to match up what the card does in the anime. There are actually a lot of card effects that are different from what they are in the TCG, of course. So, I'm going to go ahead and save. There's actually only one save point in the game, which is your room right here, which would be annoying, but, you know, it doesn't take a long time to get to the next location from your room, so I think it's fine to make that the only save point. So next up, if you go into this alleyway, there's an interesting boy with green hair. Let's challenge him to a duel. Alright. So, what should I start out with? I probably should have taken the Eternal Rests out of my deck because this guy doesn't use zombies. But, oh well. But he doesn't have any cards left. So, 1 down, and this is the first in a set of 3 opponents. Oh my goodness, that is a seriously powerful card, but oh my goodness, look at that cost. So, this is another mechanic that they have in this particular game. In addition to deck capacity, there is the duelist level, and if that is too low, then you outright cannot use the card if its cost is above your duelist level. And I really hated that mechanic. I really think it just arbitrarily locks you out of the stronger cards, but Reflect Bounder is really, really good. So if our duelist level gets that high, I am for certain going to use it. Alright, so contestant number 2. Let's see what he's all about. Same opening as the previous opponent. I'm gonna go in defense mode first. That allows me to see what he's got, and oh, it's a good thing I stunned that monster with a trap card. But he's got 3 face down cards, so I'm definitely expecting, okay, a stun trap. And another stun trap. Okay, this is not good. I think I'm okay, though. Okay, losing that monster was not good, so... Oh, this is good. I can actually power up Skill Angle. Yeah, light monsters are really, really good in this patch. In the original version of the game, it was actually dark monsters that you wanted to use because almost none of the opponent have dream monsters, and dream monsters beat dark monsters. But light monsters are really good in the early parts of this patched version. Alright, Electric Lizard is actually not that bad. So I'm gonna go and save before facing the third of this set of 3. Ahead and save the game. Alright, I've saved the game, and now it is time to face the second opponent who gives you a locator card when you beat him. Espa Roba, and yes, that's his name. It's a really weird name, but apparently he can read minds, so that's why they went with Espa. E-S-P-A. But he was actually faking it in the show, so he doesn't really have any special advantage. But he can make you think that he does. Actually, he was cheating because he had his little brother spy on his opponent's hand. And he can go ahead and use Pot of Greed. And what does this card do again? Ah yes, it lets you draw 2 cards. Alright. He certainly didn't see that trap card coming. go ahead and destroy his first monster. He uses machine monsters, and we might see his signature card come out if we let him. So we're not going to let him, of course. Although he does have some big monsters, like Big Eye. 1,200 points. That's what we need to beat. So I'm going to use Hourglass of Life's effect. Pay 1,000 life points to give yourself 500 extra attack points. Really nice card to have. Yep, he can't beat me now, so go ahead and put that out in defense mode because it has higher defense points. Sometimes you just get lucky with this game and your opponent just has nothing that they can use. Although we did manage to draw something that he can use here, so let's see, what can we do with that? We need to beat 1,600 or find a dark monster. I can stun him with this, so I'm gonna do that. And I guess I just have to go into defense mode. Alright, that I can deal with. So I'm gonna put out one of those. Get rid of this. His big monster is gonna run into the trap card, so let's see what else he has. Ah, that was unfortunate. Found himself on the wrong end of the elemental rock, paper, scissors, but I still don't have anything that I can destroy his strong monster with. So I'm gonna have to either wait for something, or he's just gonna use Raigeki anyway. Raigeki is a really broken spell card. It just destroys all of your opponent's cards, and unlike Dark Hole, it has no downside, so I'm gonna have to Dark Hole myself here. So I'm kind of hoping that he doesn't... Okay, Monster Eye, that's fine. He's not going to attack with that. And I have my own Electric Lizard, but I'm not going to use its effect. I'm actually going to do some damage. Oh, and I think he ran out of cards. Like, he probably just has spell cards in his hand right now, so he's out of monsters. So I think I've got this. Dark Hole again, how nice. Well, now I have to draw into a monster here now. Fiend's Hand. 2 more turns and I win. This is the first one. It's really coming down to the wire. He can't beat Fiend's Hand? Okay, it was a dream monster, of course. So I've beaten Espa Roba. That was one of the weirdest fights with Espa I've had. But we get his signature card. We get Jinzo. A really powerful monster that is too strong for me at the moment. But this monster has the unique ability to destroy traps. Jeez. I'm not speaking well. My nose is a little stuffy. But with him defeated, he gives me the locator card and walks off. And if you wish to rematch him, you can. But you have to say the right thing here, and the cursor is unfortunately on the wrong option, so if you just mash through this, you could tick him off and he'll never rematch you again. You have to say no here. That encourages him somewhat, and you can rematch him whenever you want, but I'm not going to do that. So, I'm going to save, and I think that is where I will stop for this episode. I've got 2 of the locator cards. I could try and get the 3rd. You know, I'm going to edit my deck and then try for the 3rd locator card, so I'll be right back. Alright, I've given my deck another edit. I'm going to show that off briefly. This time around, I focused on adding a bunch of wind monsters to the deck, and there are also some new spell cards. The wind monsters, I've added them in preparation for my next opponent, who uses a lot of earth cards, and wind beats earth. I've also added Heavy Storm to my deck. It is a spell card that destroys all monsters and spell and trap cards. That might come in handy. So our next opponent is Rex Raptor. Guess what kind of monster he's into? Anyways, once you have 3 locator cards, your own in addition to the 2 that I just won, you can face him for locator card number 4. So here we go. he opens with an Earth monster. It is the Little D. So, that might say something about him. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out a Wind monster and equip it with Follow Wind. So that beats him in attack points, even though I had the elemental advantage anyways. So I don't think he's going to be able to run over me so easily, but I need to draw more monsters. I still have a bunch of light monsters because they're really easy to work with, so I still like using them. Basically, Kartal lowered the deck cost for fairy monsters, which includes this monster, Ray and Temperature. And that makes them really easy to build a deck around, so fairy monsters, pretty good in the patch. The reason he did that is because, I think I mentioned this already, but there are no field spells, which haven't really come up yet. Oh my goodness, 1400 points, I can't beat that. Okay, that's not good. Rex might have a field spell that he uses, and those power up specific types of monsters. There are no field spells that work on fairy monsters, so that was Kartal's reasoning for not, for lowering their deck cost. I'm just gonna go ahead and Dark Hole him. I don't think I can beat 1800 with the monsters I've got. Kartal added some water monsters to Rex's deck in order to throw me off. This should power up Ray and Temperature, right? Yes, it does. So Rex, I don't think he can come back from this, but he might throw out something useful. He's got 2,700 points left, and he has to beat a 1,500, which he is not doing at the moment. So as you can see, the player's deck in this patch can get very powerful very quickly. Of course, it depends on what the card shop gives you, because every time you beat somebody in a duel, a random amount of cards gets added to the card's shop stock. So what's available might depend a little bit on luck. And a feature that this game has that most Yu-Gi-Oh games have is that they let you input the ID number of any physical card you own in order to obtain that card in the game. And they let you do that with sacred cards as well, which is interesting because there are cards that are useless in the TCG that could turn out to be very useful in this game. But I don't like using them. That honestly feels like a cheat code. And I haven't needed it so far. So there you go. Rex was beaten rather easily. But then again, I do know what I'm up against. And you earn not Twin-Headed King Rex, but Sword Arm of Dragon. Weird monster to award me for this fight. And you can rematch him as much as you want as well, as long as you say the right thing to him. So that's 3 locator cards. For a total of 4, rather. We're pretty much advancing the plot rather quickly, and some new areas open up, but I think that is going to do it for this episode. Next time, we'll work on collecting the rest of the locator cards and maybe see what was up with that guy at the card shop. So, see you later for that, everybody.